very good to have that broad question of how do I sell my dental practice? And, we kind of go through a few pieces of advice. First and foremost, prepare early, understand what you have and what asset you have to sell. Always recommend, walk through the front door as you're a buyer and kind of look at what you like and what you don't like. So understand what the buyer's seeing. Talk to a transition specialist early on. Get an idea of what your practice is valued at, what it's worth, what it's going to probably sell for. And then in the end, engage that transition specialist. Let them help you. They're the expert in transitioning practices. You've never done this before. You may only do it one or two times in your career. So it's very important to have somebody on your side helping you, protecting you, and making sure you get the right value for your practice. Yeah, we always recommend that a dentist starts as early as possible, whether it's 5 years out, 7 years out, or just a few years out. But the earlier they can start, the better. Some of the things they can do to prepare and kind of be ready for a transition, obviously initially talk to a transition specialist, kind of get an evaluation of your practice, understand what you have and what you need, and things that you can do now to maybe help prep yourself and prepare for the eventual sale. Sure, a lease needs to be reviewed well ahead of time by the seller, by the practice owner. There's certain clauses in the lease that can be tricky when navigating through a transition. First and foremost, the assignment language. If you've got an existing lease with term left, you need to understand how easily that lease can be assigned and how much control the landlord might have in the sale process. Because if that language isn't set up properly and they don't have the necessary right to assign it or can't be reasonably withheld, then it could cause problems when assigning the lease. So yeah, you want to review that ahead of time and get a good idea of what you're looking at, and then maybe you can even start discussions with the landlord, or perhaps you might just have to look at doing a brand new lease. Yeah, so yeah, definitely the sooner the better. You want to understand what goes into a transition, how it's going to impact you, what your transition plan or timeline might be, so you're properly prepared, mentally prepared. We don't want to push you into doing a transition before you're ready. We also don't want you to wait too long and do it when it's kind of too late. So talking to a transition specialist sooner than later is very important. It's just going to help put you in a better position to know what you're looking for, what your timeline is, when you are ultimately decide, okay, I'm ready to move on this. Plus, a lot of times we're talking to doctors 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they actually transition. So we talk them through, help coach them a little bit on different things, and then when they're ready, we're here for them, and we're prepared as much as they're prepared. Yeah, sure. There's no secret that corporate dentistry or DSOs, private equity, they've definitely impacted the dental field. And, it's been interesting over the last probably year to 18 months. The DSOs have actually slowed down a little bit, and that's due to the rise in interest rates. Obviously, if money costs more, it affects the metrics of how they buy a practice, but they're still out there and they're still actively looking for practices. There's a lot of differences between selling to a DSO and selling to an individual. First and foremost is the commitment. You're gonna go from practice owner to practice employee, and that could be for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It could be an extended period of time. The benefits of that, the metrics actually play out in your favor. You get a little bit more money for the practice, but you don't have that feeling of being able to, walk away right away or maybe in a few months. You're committed for a few years. I mean, every transition personally, I've done over 150. Every transition's different. You never know what you can expect. You never know what wrinkle you might be thrown. So it's good to be patient, understand that you have to maybe move a little bit on your terms and your timeline. Like we mentioned before, landlords can have an impact if you're assigning a lease. Real estate, if you're selling real estate, there's can be an extended time getting appraisals done, inspections done that could delay things. Every buyer's a little different in what they want. They may want you to drop the keys off and be gone the next day, which is a big change. Or they may say, hey, I need you here for 3 months or 6 months. So now you're not the boss anymore. You're working for somebody or helping somebody. So you've got to be prepared and be able to move no matter what happens in the transition. We try to manage it to the best of our ability, but there's always something unpredictable that's going to happen.